Joining us right here, walking on the stage live on the Roku channel and so much more is none other than my good buddy from the worldwide leader in sports, Stephen A. Smith.
Yes,
Looks
indeed.
like a guy like I just walked all the way here. Give me a second before I step up, but good to see you, sir. We're here live on the air. By the way, the best-selling author as well, sitting down right here.
Yeah, it's been crazy.
Congrats on your book.
I appreciate it,
by the
man.
way,
Thank
just
you.
to start off with that.
All right, we got to start off the way we're supposed to start off. How's
Which
the
is-
wife? Let's make sure. Let's get that out the way right
Susie's
now.
fantastic.
All right.
And she adores you, by the way, as
I
you
adore
know.
her
It's a
too.
mutual adoration
That's right.
society.
We go back a long ways.
I know that.
Yeah.
It's so funny. These guys are like, wait a minute, that's another person that Susie knew
right.
before you did?
That is correct.
That is correct.
That is correct. What's up, y'all?
What's up,
Stephen A.,
Steve?
what's
How
up,
you
man?
doing, man?
Good to see you. All right, we got a whole setup here. To your left, you got looks like a whole Subway sandwich display right here. What are you doing with Subway?
Gotta level up that experience, man. You gotta go to subway.com. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on. That's why I'm here. They've asked me to be a part of this. I'm honored, you know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
like my turkey and cheese heroes and stuff like that. That's all I usually get from them because I just order a bunch of sandwiches all the time. I think somebody spotted me buying these damn turkey and cheese heroes, but I love them. I love them. I've loved them for years. So when they asked me to come here, I said, hey, that's the least I can do. So, you know, exactly.
Subway A. Smith here on the Rich Eisen Show.
We could do that. We could do that. Let's call it for the purposes of this segment. Subway Smith. I like that.
Okay,
I like
you
that.
could do that. So it's a trivia contest that
It's a trivia contest. Obviously, you know, I'm going to hear the fan engagement and stuff like that. I'm going to play some trivia games with them today. You know, between 1 and 12, you got the answers in that category as well. And so, I mean, that's what I'm going to do. Matter of fact, I got a question here.
For you? For me?
I got a question.
I was told you were coming with a question. I do not know what.
Are you ready for this? Because you know your football.
Okay.
You know your football.
I do.
I learned a lot of my football from you.
Okay. I appreciate you saying that, Stephen A.
What's the record for the most combined fumbles recovered in a Super Bowl by both teams?
Really?
Yeah.
That is a very specific stat that I don't
said
know.
the record for the most. Just give a number.
No, these guys don't give me any hints here. They're looking behind.
Can't see anything.
I'm just guessing.
Do we know
Rich.
which
I'm just
Super Bowl it
guessing.
is? Do we know what it is?
How about
Do we-
Dallas Buffalo?
Well, you know I know the answer to this.
Well, I mean, because you're a Dallas Cowboy fan, which is something I was going to try and hide again for Stephen A. from being here.
That's right.
I'll go 7. I'll go 7.
Damn.
What is it? Is it right?
8. You were close.
Price is right, you would win.
I
You
would
were
win.
close.
Closest without
You would've
going
won.
over.
You were
This is
close.
Price is Right rules.
You were close.
Okay.
You were close.
What would I? What do I win? What do I got?
Listen. There's a lot of stuff to win. You like Subway? I mean, there's no disrespect.
Who
but
doesn't?
You like to eat.
Yes.
You like to eat. I mean, there's a
Okay.
lot of stuff to eat there.
What do you-
12 different menus for crying out loud. I mean, there's a lot to eat. I know. Like I told you before, my favorite is the turkey and cheese, but that's just me.
I'm with you.
That's
I would
just
choose
me.
the same thing
You
too.
know, that's what I try to do.
With the triangles of cheese on it, all the way
Whatever.
down.
And you know
all the
what?
way down. You got to get the foot long too. I'm not a little.
No. At least the foot long. That's how we got to do this.
All
How
right.
you been, man?
So I'm great.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Yeah, same here.
It's rare to be in a Super Bowl town and everybody's talking hoops.
Well, you know what? It happens like that sometimes. I mean, you know, Phoenix just traded for Kevin Durant.
What do you make of that?
I think that makes them Phoenix the favorites in the Western Conference. Denver is still a team to be reckoned with. You got Jokic. Jamal Murray's been looking better. Aaron Gordon's been having a sensational year. They've got some depth, shooting, athletes, etc. But when you think about Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, and Chris Paul in the lineup, I don't want to hear anything about another team being the favorite in your conference.
That's it.
You got that kind of crew. This is not Kevin Durant with the Splash Brothers. That was a different level. But this is close. And to me, when you look at the rest of the Western Conference and the fact that no one's been able to run away with it, now that Kevin Durant is coming and really, really joining a quintessential prototypical point guard for the first time in his career. That's not Steph Curry. That's not Russell Westbrook. That certainly wasn't Kyrie Irving. But it definitely is Chris Paul. And you got a guy that's going to get you the ball in your spots, that's going to run the offense, that's going to play the leadership role, takes that responsibility off your shoulders. You got a stud in Devin Booker. You got a big man in DeAndre Ayton who is no scrub. He's no Giannis Antetokounmpo or somebody like that. But he's a 7-footer who can ball and can give you 20-10 on a night-in, night-out basis. There is no excuse for anybody else to be the favorite in the Western Conference.
What about favorite period?
Well, I look at Boston. I can't dismiss Boston. They're the reigning Eastern Conference champions. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are stars. Robert Williams, once he comes back healthy, is a defensive presence you can't ignore. Malcolm Brogdon was picked up in the offseason to add depth to their bench. Marcus Smart is the reigning defensive player of the year. Derek White can ball. And you just look at their personnel right now and the way that they've been playing on both ends of the floor throughout the vast majority of this season. I can't dismiss anybody who would see Boston as the favorite. But I would tell you, Boston and Phoenix would definitely be an epic final series. We can't dismiss Milwaukee either. But I think because of what Phoenix has in its arsenal, I definitely think an outside chance with Dallas. You got to give Memphis an outside chance. Got to respect that. But the Western Conference, to me, really comes down to Denver versus Phoenix. The East comes down to Milwaukee, Boston.
Do you think Kyrie's stay in Dallas ends in the same way that his stay in Boston and Brooklyn ends?
No. The reason why is because he's got everything to lose. He doesn't have a contract locked in where, you know what, I'm signing 4 years, $136 million, and I know that if I screw around and mess up this year, I still got 3 additional years left to go. He's playing for a new contract. Dallas could give him a 2-year deal and over $80 million right now. They're likely not going to do that. He likely doesn't want them to do that. They're in a position where they have his bird right, so they could give him a max deal at 5 years, $272 million. Nobody on this planet is thinking about giving Kyrie Irving a long-term deal. Year to year, he's worth every penny than any other superstar would be worth because he's box office. You walk through the turnstiles to see this brother perform, and when he shows up, he puts on a show in most instances. But you cannot trust him more than 1 year at a time because he's proven that he's distracted by a multitude of other things that don't have anything to do with basketball half the time, and that it can disrupt your franchise. And he wants to march to his own beat. You're not going to trust him long term. I can't see anybody giving him a 4-year or 5-year guaranteed deal in excess of $200 million. I mean, there's a sucker born every minute. But the bottom line is you got to find that one for me to believe that that's what's going to happen for Kyrie.
I mean, if somebody came in with the resume and the Shark Tank, and Cuban would pass. He would say, I'm out.
That's
with
right.
that resume.
Right.
So he's going to bounce around then because if he...
Not necessarily.
So then he'll stay 1 year at a time with a team that says no to a long-term contract that won't piss him off?
I don't think he'll say no. I'm sorry. I don't think that it's going to be a situation where he'll get a 1-year deal. I could see somebody offering him 2 years. Like this is 2 years. Do I see somebody offering him 3-4-year guaranteed dollars? Well, they've got to be in a desperate situation as well, which is where Dallas comes in because on one hand, Luka's dying for another star to defer to give the ball to take some of the pressure off himself because every time he gives you a lead, he goes to the bench. They lose it inside of 2 minutes. So that's been very frustrating for him. The Dallas Mavericks, in return, want to see what he'll do when he has that superstar. Are you willing to be deferential? Are you willing to let somebody else take the last shot? Are you willing to spectate and watch while somebody else puts on a show? Because the one advantage that Kyrie Irving has is that he can literally look Luka in the face and say, I've been where you're trying to go. He is a champion. He did average 27 in the NBA Finals. He did hit a big-time shot to win a championship for LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers. He did all of those things. And he's a perennial all-star who can average 28 in his sleep. So Kyrie Irving doesn't have to be deferential in any way on the offensive side of the ball to Luka Doncic. Now, Luka Doncic knows that, but he knows what he brings to the table as well. So sometimes it's him, sometimes it'll be me. That could be his attitude, but he has to at least have that attitude. It can't be, well, here's the ball to you, Kyrie Irving, for the first 3 quarters, and then the fourth quarter is mine. Right. Kyrie Irving was leading all players in scoring in the fourth quarter. So he doesn't have to be deferential to anybody. It's going to be something that Jason Kidd's going to have to handle, but it's a good problem to have.
Stephen A. Smith here, courtesy of Subway. A couple more minutes left with him here on the Rich Eisen Show and the Super Bowl experience in the downtown Phoenix Convention Center. Who wins this trophy Sunday?
Well, I haven't made a decision about that yet, Mr. Rich Eisen. I will tell you that I think it's a nail biter. Listen, I am allergic to blowouts as much as I'm allergic to scrubs. I can't stand scrubs. And when you come blowouts, nothing ticks me off more than looking forward to a game and then it's an annihilation.
Yes.
I don't expect that to be the case here. I think that it'll be a tight 4 contest. I think the Eagles should be the favorites, but Mahomes is a superstar and he's a difference maker. And if you got an offensive line that can protect him, which he didn't have 2 years ago against Tampa, but he has now, it's going to be real interesting to see. Eagles lead the league. What, they got 70 sacks this year? You got Reddick that's got 16 and a half. You got 3 other dudes that's got 11 sacks. You got Fletcher Cox that's got 7 sacks. They get to the quarterback. They've got they're loaded defensively all around, even though their secondary is considered their soft spot. If you talk to some players like Deebo Samuels was telling me yesterday, but at the end of the day, Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, they're going to have to put up points to win this game. It can't be some 17 or 20-point outing. I think it's going to be a situation where if you're going to beat the Philadelphia Eagles, you got to put up about 30 points, and I don't know if Kansas City could do that.
I mean, you spend a lot of time around Philly, obviously, Stephen A. I mean, the fact that they're back in it with a different quarterback-coach combination 6 years later, 5 Super Bowls later, it's truly unbelievable.
Well, everybody's been talking about Jalen Hurts. He's my most improved player. He's a top 2 candidate for league MVP honors. I'd have to say that I'm leaning towards Patrick Mahomes, deserving that more than him slightly, because you lose Tyreek Hill. You got the #1 offense in points, yards, and passing. So I got to give that to Patrick Mahomes. But I will tell you this. To me, the star of the Philadelphia Eagles is Howie Roseman. This is a guy that had the job taken away from him because Jeffrey Lurie wanted to give it to Chip Kelly, for crying out loud. He wet the bed. Thank God he's out of the pro sports and he's back in college where he belongs. All right. Howie comes back, hires Doug Peterson, couple of years later wins the Super Bowl with a backup quarterback because Wentz goes down near the tail end of the regular season. That Wentz experiment ultimately falls through. That's not working out. You draft Jalen Hurts with the second-round pick. You put him in the starting lineup in his second year, and you retool this team. You acquire A.J. Brown. And now here you are again with Nick Sirianni as your coach after you let go of Doug Peterson. So I think that when we look at Howie Roseman, I mean, you just got to give credit where credit's due to him and Jeffrey Lurie, because what owner do you know takes power away from somebody but gives it back to them? That's what Jeffrey Lurie did. And what guy do you know as an executive retools and wins you and gets you to 2 Super Bowl, wins a Super Bowl championship with a backup quarterback, and then comes back with a second rounder, and he's back in the Super Bowl again because of the way he's retooled this squad, which is the most complete squad in football. Howie Roseman, to me, deserves a boatload of credit for the job he's done.
Especially in all the defenders that you were talking about up front. We didn't even talk about Ndamukong Suh, who is dynamite.
No question.
And he was also on that Bucs team that chased Mahomes around when his foot was compromised the last time they were in the Super Bowl.
That's right.
So you're leaning towards Philadelphia, right?
I'm leaning towards Philadelphia, but I haven't made a final decision yet.
When does that happen? Tomorrow's first take?
Tomorrow's first take.
Okay.
Tomorrow's first take.
Okay.
That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to save it. You know,
I understand that. I understand there's platforms here.
Yes.
And congrats on Straight Shooter, a memoir of second chances and first takes. Yeah. Congratulations on that.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised. I mean, it's 3rd week on the bestseller list. I expected success. I didn't expect that.
Come on,
you know, but it's good.
You're Stephen A. Smith.
Come
on now, I can say these things. Look at you, the humility.
I'm learning that.
Look at that.
I'm learning that.
You put a book out there, and people are like, "Where do I buy it?"
Yeah, but it was a lot of personal. You know, I don't really talk about myself personally like that. And I didn't know how that would be received, in all honesty. If it was a sports book, maybe that wouldn't have been as successful, but I would have expected more success.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to expect when I decided to write this book, so it was kind of surprising and pleasantly so as to how people said it's motivated them. So that does humble me.
Okay.
Yeah, that does.
All right, so next year in Las Vegas, it's Dallas versus who?
Well, we know it's not going to be Dallas.
Here we go.
We know
this. We do know this. I mean, McCarthy might be calling the plays. Kellen Moore's in Los Angeles.
So, listen, first of all, Kellen Moore, congratulations on him getting another job and being in a better situation because, you know, you're in L.A. with Justin Herbert as opposed to Dak Prescott, who's no scrub, but I don't think he's Justin Herbert. So that's one thing. Number 2, McCarthy's got some things to prove. This is it for him. He's got to get it done. I kind of thought that Dan Quinn would ultimately get the job.
Yeah.
I figured something like that would happen had they lost to Tampa. Once they beat Tampa, I knew that McCarthy would be safe. But in the end, listen, I don't know how many times I have to say this to people. I've only been right for 28 years and 27 years and counting. I mean, somebody's going to listen to me. What can go wrong will go wrong. I mean, you just have to be patient, you know. And Dallas fooled everybody because they were winning games, and they won 12 games yet again. And CeeDee Lamb emerged to be this #1 receiver. Tony Pollard made up for what Ezekiel Elliott was lacking. All of this stuff going on.
Yeah.
And all I ask the American people, be patient. Take your time. It's coming. They will not let you down. And sure enough, that's exactly what they did. You can't make it up, man. You can't make it up. So now when people yell at me and they say, how about them Cowboys, instead of being annoyed by it, what I respond is by saying, how's Cabo? That's where most of them are. They're in Cabo right now. They're in Cabo right now. They ain't in the States. They don't want anybody to see them in the States because people are going to laugh at them and they can't take it. So they're in Cabo somewhere. We understand that. They got their vacation. They'll come back. They'll be respectable next year too, but they'll be inferior. They're not going to be better than the Eagles, and they're not going to be better than the San Francisco 49ers. Yeah. Neither of those teams the Dallas Cowboys are going to be better than. So, you know, more will come.
You're the only one I refresh my Twitter feed for after a Cowboys loss. Waiting. I wait.
I appreciate that.
And I really like the way that you hold your phone and it's you're not on camera,
right,
and it pans over to you.
Yes. It's a beautiful thing.
And then we wait for the laugh to start it.
It's a beautiful thing. Listen, man,
it is
they torture everybody, man. They're like cockroaches, man. I mean, a nuclear bomb drops, there's gonna be rats, roaches, and a Cowboy fan that comes out. They can't. They are always who they are. But this year touched me. It touched me.
It touched you.
It touched me because I could see the fear in the Cowboy fan. Mm-hmm. I could see the fear. You know, usually they're bold and they're like, oh, please. But this year when I was messing with them, they were quiet because they were like, he might be right again. And they were scared to death. And they were scared. And I saw the fear, and it was so beautiful to see, you know. And then they went up there and they showed up in Tampa and they manhandled the Buccaneers. And I was like, and this was the beauty of it. So they beat Tampa. That was a Monday night game.
Yes, on ESPN. Huge.
And the beauty for me was I was telling everybody, 5 days. I said 6 days. 5, 4, 3. I said countdown. I said, because they ain't getting through this Sunday. It's a wrap. You know, so I said, y'all had y'all nice moment. And they were like, please, please. But they were scared. And I saw it. You don't know what it felt, how good it felt for me to see that fear in their eyes. They were so petrified because they knew it was coming. And then when it came, you know, I couldn't find Cowboy fans anywhere. I couldn't find them. Couldn't find them. I was like this. I'm so surprised, but it was beautiful.
Stephen A. Smith, everybody. Sorry, TJ. I just had to ask him about your Dallas Cowboys.
Any of that. I can't.
Ladies and gentlemen, to make your Super Bowl better with Subway Series sandwiches, go to Subway.com or the Subway app. Get the new book, Straight Shooter, a memoir of second chances and first takes with the great Stephen A. Smith. Love you.
Appreciate
Thank
it. Love you, man.
Thank you for being
always,
here.
Man.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.